How's it going, everyone? My name is True Underdog, and today we'll be talking about the craziest buff that NetherRealm has ever created. So of course we're talking about Bane. This character, in my opinion, is the closest NetherRealm has ever gotten to making a traditional grappler. And like most traditional grapplers, Bane's entire game plan revolved around his body press command grab. So let's talk about this move. For starters, the range on this thing is ridiculous. It's pretty much exactly jumping distance, so the range on this thing is ridiculous, and best of all, this thing was so plus on hit that it pretty much looped into itself over and over again. The opponent only had a 6-frame window to escape, which meant they either had to do an invincible attack or they had to jump away. That was pretty much their only option. But thankfully, Bane has a godlike down 1 in this game. It's not super fast, but it is plus 17 on hit and has fantastic range. So what this means is Bane could use this whenever he thought you were going to jump on wake up, and it would keep you standing, because in this game, holding up does not work like it does in MK11. So as an example, right now I'm telling Batman to just hold up. So once I land the command grab, he is going to be holding up, and check this out. If I mash down 1, no, he is holding up right now and he has no way to escape. He has to deal with my down 1. And once again, this down 1 is 17 on hit, and that's because in Injustice games, the down 1s do actually start off combos. However, comboing after the down 1 wasn't really Bane's game plan. Instead, he was just trying to get his tick throw game started because Bane had a lot. So if Bane landed a down 1, he could guarantee this string, and it led to an unblockable setup. Once again, you had to hold up or go for an invincible move. And believe me, Bane had a bunch of tick throw setups. He could even just do down 1 again. So he would do down 1, and if it hit, just go for it again and then cancel that into his body press. Or he could even do an uppercut and cancel that as well. His down 2 is a great tick throw setup. And Bane even had a tick throw off of his low combo starters. So if you wanted to jump away, he would catch you and just get a combo. But if you kept blocking, he had the command grab. So Bane just had command grab setups for days, even on block. But honestly, here's the scariest part about Bane in Injustice 1. He had this move called the double punch. This move is -5 on block, so every tick throw setup is now completely safe if he doesn't want to risk it. And at the same time, if the opponent ever tried to jump to escape his body press in any of these setups, they would get caught by the double punch, and this thing was also plus enough on hit to loop into his command grab again, or the Bane player could just forward dash. And keep in mind, Bane's got ridiculous mobility in this game. I don't know why it's so good, but the point is Bane could either go for his command grab setup on block, and if he thought you might jump away, he could go for double punch, which would catch you trying to escape, and even if you blocked, he was still completely safe on block, and he did not have this move in Injustice 2. And then if the Bane player knew you wanted to jump, they could do the Venom uppercut, because it did a bit more damage, and you were very close and even more plus on hit. So once again, the opponent's forced to either eat this command grab or try to escape it. And unlike in Injustice 2, the Venom uppercut had an amplify on block, and it was still theoretically punishable, but if spaced correctly, it was very tough to punish, and in the corner, Bane was still close enough to loop the throw again. Okay, but now you have a basic idea of how Bane plays, so let's talk about his character trait, the strongest buff that NetherRealm has ever made, his Venom boost. This character trait had 3 different levels, so at level 1, Bane gets a damage buff, straight up. So this command grab now does 18%, whereas normally it only does around 16%. So let's just check that out. Yep, 16%. And let's do a combo just for fun. So here's a basic combo with Bane. And this does around 29%, so almost 30, not too bad. Let's pop the trait. And let's see how much damage we're getting now. Boom, 32%, so already a pretty nice increase in damage. And keep in mind, you don't have to special cancel into this thing. You can activate it whenever you want to, even in the middle of an attack. There's no limitation, you can activate it whenever the heck you want to. However, this move is much more than just a damage buff. It also gave Bane armor. So once again, this command grab that could be avoided by an invincible move, not anymore. Bane now has the armor, baby. So if you go for any special move that doesn't leave the ground, Bane's going to win every single time. And this armor was also great for helping Bane close in on the opponent. The guy doesn't have any projectiles, so instead he would pop trait and then run through your projectile. Now unfortunately I can't show Batman's projectile because he actually throws 2, and unfortunately Bane only has 1 hit of armor on his special moves. However, that's just level 1. If you wanted to go to level 2, you got an even bigger boost in damage. So let's check this out. And let's go ahead and spin the bar just for fun. How much damage are we getting? we're getting 40%. Once again, you didn't have to do it right away. You could land the hit and then pop the Venom, and you were still getting some pretty beefy damage. So check this out. We're still getting around 40%. Oh, it's so great. Now, unfortunately, level 2 did not give you one extra hit of armor, so if the opponent threw more than one projectile, you couldn't actually power through it. You had to duck or jump, something of that nature, because you couldn't actually armor through it. But even so, the damage buff was very nice, and most players would actually never exceed level 2 because it was more than enough to get the job done. However, even though level 3 Venom was pretty rare, it still served a purpose. So if you reach level 3, for starters, of course you get more damage. So for example, this same combo is now doing around 50%. Once again, a single combo in just one bar and the opponent's half dead. So already that's pretty strong, and once again, you could pop all 3 tanks after a single hit confirm. So if Bane had super, you could just confirm into it for a ton of damage. So look at that, 56% damage. Now it's not worth all 4 bars unless it wins the match, but just keep in mind Bane always had that option off of every hit confirm. However, the damage is not what made level 3 special. To show off what made level 3 special, we have to talk about Doomsday's trait. So when Doomsday activates his trait, he gets armor, and this makes him impossible to knock down or launch. So for example, down 3 would normally knock the opponent off their feet, it just sweeps them. But once he pops the armor, I can no longer knock him down. And normally forward 3 is a great combo starter, but once he pops the trait, that won't launch him either. He is impossible to take off the ground. However, at Venom level 3, Bane had the option to break armor, no matter what it was. The trait's just a good example, but Bane could break any armor in the game. So if that armor was a armored forward 3, or an armored back 3, Bane could just pop level 3 Venom and say no to all of that. Now keep in mind, it wasn't on any attack. It did have to actually be a special move, or his forward 2 that had an alternate that was treated as a special move. Or in other words, Bane couldn't just hit the opponent like Superman could and break their armor whenever he wanted. He did have to commit to a special move. But even so, this just meant one less option for the opponent. If they wanted to go for an armored escape option, it was not possible if Bane had level 3 Venom activated. And then on top of that, level 3 Venom also made Bane immune to projectiles. It didn't matter how many you did, he could charge right through it. Now once again, it had to be during a special move. He wasn't immune to projectiles, period. But any special move that Bane went for would now be completely immune to projectiles. It didn't matter how many you used. So if the Bane player ever got really desperate and just couldn't deal with your keep away, he could always pop level 3 Venom and do a ridiculous amount of damage for a short period of time. And look at that, the opponent's already 2/3 dead with just 2 special moves. However, all of these amazing abilities do come at a cost. Once again, this is not the strongest buff in NetherRealm history, it is the craziest buff in NetherRealm history, and that's because it was a catch-22. If you watch the Venom tank by Bane's feat, notice it does drain little by little over time, and to keep it from running out, you could pop the next level, and that would avoid what happens when it does run out. But eventually this trait was going to run out, and when it did, Bane entered a debuff phase, and this debuff had 2 different effects. So for starters, his attack would be reduced. So for example, this command grab is now only doing 13%, whereas normally it does 16. And depending on your level, the debuff was actually even stronger when it came to damage reduction. So now we're at level 2, and watch what happens when it runs out. This command grab is not going to hurt nearly as much. Look at that, only 10%. That's pretty weak for a command grab that normally does almost 20. And then at level 3 when it runs out, Bane pretty much tickles the opponent's health bar. He no longer hurts at all. So check out this debuff. Whoop, grab the opponent, and I pretty much tickle. 5%. 5% for the once proud command grab. And I wish that was all that happened to Bane during the debuff, but unfortunately NetherRealm took it a step further. Not only does Bane deal less damage, but he also takes more damage during the debuff as well. So right now I have Batman set to do his slide kick, and by default this thing does 7% damage. Not too bad. But now let's see how much damage it does after the debuff. Wait for it to run out. Knock him down and let him hit me. Oof, now it's doing almost 8% damage, level 2 debuff. And this right here is why most players did not go above level 2, because already I'm going to take some pretty decent damage. Look at this. This slide will now do 8, almost 9%, pretty scary stuff. And then at level 3, you almost never wanted to do this because the debuff was the highest it could possibly be. So check this out, let it run out, gonna knock Batman down, and look how much damage I take. I'm taking almost 11% on a move that only did 7% before. And that was just a single attack. Look at how much damage Bane takes from a full combo during this debuff. So as you can see, Bane just took 40% damage for that short combo. And now just for fun, here's a level 3 debuff. I imagine Bane's gonna take around 50% here for a single combo. So as you can see, this buff had a lot of risk to it. Yep, about 50%, just like I predicted. So if you wanted to pop level 3, yes, you got more damage and a bunch of awesome goodies on top of that, but you also took a lot of damage the moment it ran out. And unfortunately, Bane didn't have any way of avoiding this debuff. Even if the round ended, the tank would keep draining, and if you were super unlucky, the debuff would start right when the next round began. And then if the opponent went for a clash to break your combo, that would also reset your trait and put you in a debuff as well. And then to make things even worse, even if you, the Bane player, used your clash to escape a combo, you still had to eat the debuff. So life for Bane was just kinda tough whenever this Venom ran out. And that's why, in my opinion, Bane has the craziest buff in any NetherRealm game. But please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And then while you're down there, please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It really does help my channel out a ton. And finally, why not keep that combo going by suplexing that subscribe button? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.